Hello and welcome to Assetto Corsa Rally, the newest innovation in rally simulators. If you're wondering how the heck did I already put up a video guide in such a short time after the release, it's because I already have almost 20 hours of playtime. 505 Games came to my attention a few weeks ago with the opportunity of trying the game sooner, so I thank them for sponsoring this video. Now, if you're here because you already tried Assetto Corsa Rally and you feel the need for some guidance so you can enjoy the game even more, then you're in the right place. First, the inputs. The first tab is the key bindings, very straightforward. In the second tab are the device linearity and dead zone options. They are useful if you want to have shorter pedal strokes or if your pedals and handbrake are registering faulty inputs. You can add some dead zone to that input to make sure they're all zero. Now, to the elephant in the room, the force feedback. To my unpleasant surprise, Assetto Corsa Rally offers very few sliders for adjusting the force feedback. Why am I saying few is because games like Dirt Rally or EAWRC offer more sliders for fine adjusting the force feedback coming from the suspensions, engine vibrations, collisions, tire slip and so on. Here in Assetto Corsa Rally, we only have a gain slider which adjusts all the settings I mentioned above linearly up and down. It's like having a music amplifier with just a volume button and without any control over the bass, treble, balance, etc. So because of this, it took me quite some time to get the settings right. For a Fanatec CLSDD like mine, you can try my in-game settings here and also the settings from the Fanatec software. These ones are for asphalt and these ones for gravel. The in-game settings remain unchanged. I also let the developers know about this must-have feature and I'm hoping it will be added somewhere in the future of this game. Just a gain slider for track racing games might be enough, because the surface is always smooth, with very few bumps and the car suspension barely travel a few centimeters up and down, so there's not much to feel other than some wheel weight. The last and fourth slider here is the steering lock, which adjusts the amount of degrees of rotation the game registers from your steering wheel. As you can see in the Fanatec software, I also have the same amount of wheel rotation, so I recommend you do this as well. Most modern WRC cars have between 450 and 550 degrees of steering wheel rotation, so there's no need for you to go higher than that, because you'll have a slow reaction time and you'll have to put on more work in turning the wheel, like in a normal road car when doing tight maneuvers or parking. One last thing I saw in the input bindings is if you scroll down to the car systems, you're going to find options for left indicators and right indicators. Interesting, isn't it? Maybe driving from one stage to another will actually be a thing in Assetto Corsa Rally, who knows? Driving assist. For beginners, having the transmission set to automatic will sound like the better option, but let me explain to you why it isn't. When braking, almost every game, including Assetto Corsa Rally, will only downshift for you when the RPMs are lower. But this won't help you with braking as much, because to decelerate as fast as possible, you need to downshift in high RPMs, where the engine still has power. And do not underestimate the engine braking, because it almost does half the job of getting your cars to stop. So try to leave it on manual and learn to drive like this, even if you're shifting from pedals, sequential shifter or H-pattern shifter. Now, setting the clutch control to manual will again help with the realism, because you will need to be cautious when launching the car from a standstill, and we will also let you clutch kick if needed. This is a technique to give cars a short burst of power when going uphill or when taking tight turns. You basically press and depress the clutch fast while accelerating. This is used mostly in drifting, but in rally as well. ABS is a safety feature every road car in the world has. It will make driving way more easy, because you will not have to care about your wheels locking under heavy braking, which will make you slide out of the corners, and you can focus on other aspects of the game. Traction control will be useful when launching the car, and it will not let your wheels spin freely and lose time. But it will also be helpful while taking turns, especially with rear-wheel drive cars, which have more oversteer and are harder to control. My recommendation is to keep it off and learn some acceleration control, and maybe leave ABS on until you're a bit more experienced, because it will make the learning curve more enjoyable. Handbrake assist will make you skip the part where at the starting line you need to hold the handbrake so your car will not roll backwards or forwards depending on the situation. Because normally one of your foot is on the clutch pedal and the other on the accelerator, so there is nothing holding your car in place. The engine starter lets you manually turn on the engine. For example, you crash and your engine shuts off, you will manually have to press a button to restart the engine. With automatic, however, your engine will turn itself right up. This setting is totally up to you. Now, start sequence type is a new feature. you're starting from the marshal stand, then you get to drive for a few meters to warm up your tires to the start line. If you have this option on complete, you will have to do all I mentioned above. If you set it to quick, the game will load you directly at the start line with a countdown ready to go. Unwanted downshift protection. As the name implies, will prevent unwanted downshifts in neutral or reverse. This simulates the sequential shifters found in real rally cars, where you have to hold a button or pull an extra lever in order to get the car in neutral or reverse, obviously to keep you from destroying the gearbox. Game options. Language and co-driver language is self-explanatory. Now, pace notes anticipation is something I want to get into detail. This will allow you to set how far ahead the co-driver will dictate the pace notes. So for example, if you have it on late, like I do it here, exactly what the co-driver said last will be the next thing to come up on the road. If you're able to drive with the pace notes set on early, congratulations, you have a good memory. And finally, visual pace notes enable or disable the pace notes drawings. But again, for beginners, my recommendation is to leave them on, because even if you're not constantly looking at them, your eyes see them and see the colors pop up. So basically, green means go and red means brake. Easy. In the video tab, I'm not gonna get into details. These are settings that everyone sets to their liking and to their PC capabilities. Unfortunately, my 5-year-old RTX 3080 is starting to show its age, so in order to have an average of 100 FPS, I can only run the game on medium-low, medium-high settings. But it still looks awesome. I can also run it at high, but only at around 60 frames per second, but in games like this, they're not enough. So please try to set your graphics settings so you can get as many frames per second and also be happy with how the game looks. Try to aim for at least 100 so you can have better reactions at what's happening on the road. Audio. Again, set everything like you want it, but just make sure you're hearing the co-driver. Some cars tend to have louder engines, so you can start by lowering the setting first. As you can see, mine is at 60, which is the lowest of them all. Now let's talk about the game modes available right now, and I will start with Free Practice. As the name implies, it's your go-to game mode for trying everything the game has to offer. It's the place where you can set everything to your liking and learn new tracks, cars, and have fun. At this time we have 2 locations available, one asphalt in France and one gravel location set in Wales, with both containing 2 stages, each with a forward and reverse option, and some of them also have like shorter half stages, about 5 to 6 kilometers long. Setting the weather and time has never been as easy and intuitively crafted ever before in any rally title. I just love it. So at the top we have the event start time, which is self-explanatory. The second option is time acceleration, and at 1x it says realistic, which means that each real life minute translates to 1 minute in game. At 2x, each real minute is 2 minutes in game, and so on. But if we scroll all the way to 60x, this means that 1 real minute will result in 1 hour of pastime in game. So you can basically start the stage at sunset and be done with it at midnight. Starting weather is again self-explanatory. Dynamic weather is again a cool feature that allows you to start the stage in one condition, and throughout the stage the weather will change. So for example, you can start in clear weather and be done with the stage covered with fog. How cool is that? Starting road wetness, again pretty self-explanatory, and allows you to set the road wetness at the start of the stage. The personal leaderboards shows your best time in this class. Since this is the only car in this class at the moment, there are no other times shown here. Driving assists lets you adjust the settings from before, so you don't have to go back in the settings menu if you want to change something. Finally, in the race settings, there are a few things I want to talk about, and the first one is manual respawn. If this feature is turned on, you can hit the reset button even if you just spawn out and you're facing backwards, or if you just fell into a ditch. Otherwise, keeping this option off, the game will only respawn you if you hit the track limits or roll onto your roof. Free drive will allow you to do whatever you like, drive in the other direction, explore, etc., like a free roam mode. Hardcore mode will enable realistic damage, wear and tear, and fuel consumption. But if you want light damage or maybe turn certain types of damage off, you can leave hardcore damage off and turn on the simple car damage, which will unlock all the other options. And finally, the last option allows you to turn on or off the penalties received when cutting or respawning. The other 2 game modes are Time Attack, which is the place to race against the clock with players around the world, and Rally, which allows you to create realistic single rally stages or rally weekends against AI opponents. If I click on Change Location, I can choose how many days the rally will have, and you will automatically get a rally setup. Of course, from here you can add or remove stages, change the weather and time, and so on. Now, if we get back to the previous screen, in the race settings, there are a few new options about the number of opponents and the difficulty. Last thing I want to talk about is the cars. At this moment, AC Rally offers only 10 car models, and all of them have their unique handling and driving style. Some are harder to drive and some are easier. So for beginners, I will recommend 3 cars, each with a different drivetrain, so everybody has something to start their rally experience with. My go-to front-wheel drive car will be the Peugeot 208 Rally 4. In the 4-wheel drive category, I will go with the Citroen Sara. And last but not least, in the rear-wheel drive category, the Fiat 131 Abarth. For rear-wheel drive, you can also try the Alfa Romeo GTA 1300 Junior because it has less power, but still the Fiat is way more fun to drive and really gives that rear-wheel drive oversteering impression. One disclaimer here will be that when I said easy to drive, I was referring with a default setup because right now not every car in the game has their setup complete. Most of them still have missing pieces like dampers, springs, differentials, etc. So trying to make a setup with only a few options is not worth it. Better focus on learning the basics, the driving, the pace notes, the track, etc. From all those 3 cars I've recommended, the only one having an incomplete setup is the Citroen Sara, and it's in the damper sections, so pretty important stuff. But for the Peugeot and Fiat we have everything, so these are the cars you can expect me to make a setup video sooner or later. Until then, focus on learning the basics and all, and we'll get into the setups later. Hope you enjoyed this Assetto Corsa Rally quick start guide. If so, leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think about this awesome game, and go break some records. See you on the track. Bye bye!